Hello, welcome. This is Chris Jansen. My website's endevil.life, and I'm also on onegreatworknetwork.com. So you can check out my work there. And today I have with me some friends and speakers so we can create a roundtable of minds and share some ideas today. We're all folks who have studied up on natural law and we're into truth and freedom, and we want to share those ideas with other folks, and it's cool to hear multiple perspectives and different minds being put together. So I'm going to just go around tonight and have everybody introduce themselves, and then we're going to start getting into a topic. So if you got a website, go ahead and share it. I'm going to start at the bottom. Aaron.
How's it going, everybody? My name's Aaron Butler. You can find me at thelastspiritualpodcast.com. I'm getting a podcast going here soon, incorporating my new skills from the seminar, and this is the how to become the true media seminars. I've been a little slow getting some work out, but it's taking some time to get my new skills incorporated to some old stuff and get some things going. So you can look forward to some more content in the near future. And yep.
Cool, right on.
So
What was the
glad to be
website
here.
again?
Thelastspiritualpodcast.com.
Thelastspiritualpodcast.com. Right on. Okay. And Lawrence, introduce yourself next.
Yeah, Lawrence Wasson. My website is theprincipleofcare.com. And I'm on the road right now, so my video is not usually like this. See, I'm trying to figure it out, um, but yeah,
Cool. Thanks for
glad to be
coming,
here.
Lawrence.
Glad to be here.
Right
Thanks for
on.
having me.
And up next, Dom.
Sure. Dom Tremblay from province of Quebec, Canada. Website is vérité-ou-conséquence.com. Proud member of the One Great Work Network and glad to join a panel of fine gentlemen to discuss again tonight.
Right on. Thanks for coming. And Corey. Oh,
There we go. Sorry.
There we go.
I'm Corey Angelot, scuffed production. It's okay. It's not my fault. Lawrence. It's okay. You're not the only one. No, looks like I'm having problems too. I'm Corey Angelot. You can look up like my videos. I have a whole bunch of different content. I produce a whole bunch of sheets and go out places, do crazy things, and I'm on Twitch as well. Just Corey, nature is the answer, and you'll get it. I'm just a fellow messenger, part of the cause to help bring natural law to more people.
Right on. Awesome. Thanks, Corey. And today we also have with us Sean. Sean, can you introduce yourself?
Greetings, I'm Sean McCann. I am also a fellow member of the One Great Work Network. I also went through the True Media course, and I don't have my website up as of yet, but you can find all my work, or most of the work that's been put up online can be found at onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean McCann, my name. I don't know. I guess I deserve to be here. So
Oh yeah.
I'm smart.
I just saw your interview with Freeman Fly recently. You had told me about that previously.
Nice.
I got around to watching that. That was cool.
Thanks,
So
man.
That's another place that Sean could be found.
Yes. Yeah. I was interviewed by Freeman. I was on Mark Devlin's podcast like 3 times. I've been on Hans Utter's podcast a couple times. I just now am starting my own thing, and I haven't had any guests yet, but I'm unloading some pretty big ideas that I've been screaming out into the nothing. And I'm finally organizing it and putting it into a package that can be easily shared and understood.
Right on. Well, looking forward to seeing more of that, and I'm glad
Thank
you're
you,
here.
brother. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. And Will, he's I got a special thank you for Will. He's been a big part of making these roundtables happening, hosting the room and helping with the recording aspect. He's pretty awesome. Will does a lot of good work.
Thanks, Chris. That's kind, man. It's my pleasure. Yeah, Will Keller, Northern California, and my website is naturalfreedomleague.com. and also on the One Great Work Network. And looking forward to this evening's episode.
Yeah, me too. So we'll jump right in, and like I said, I'm Chris Jansen, and I'm in right near Sacramento, California, and evil.life. So what the subject I've been thinking a lot about because of the last year, my experiences of the last year, trying to understand what's going on with the world around me, is the subject of belief, and I've been bringing this up with different people I speak with, but I think the idea of belief is really important to talk about right now. So I was going to ask you guys to all chime in, and we could start out by like sort of, I think, trivia method. Let's do a little bit of defining of the word. What does belief mean? I did look it up on several different dictionaries online, and it's actually amazing how much variety you find between the different, the free dictionary and the Cambridge dictionary. They all have slightly different takes on what belief means. So I'm just going to jump right in, and we'll go in the same order. So it goes Aaron first, and tell us what you think about belief and what does it mean.
I'm kind of with you. It's hard to find you know a definition that a definition that explains belief, because belief is almost like it's like an internal thing, and it's like it's like some I've seen it described as faith, or faith in God, or which is basically it's accepting something as being true. And it doesn't mean that it is true, obviously, but like I've seen some people say faith in God as as a definition, and I think that there's a big distinction between faith and belief, because they're often used interchangeably. And um, and faith, I think, is committing like a degree of trust based on knowledge into like a specific principle or a law, and whereas belief is just accepting it, or believing something without any knowledge of what you're actually placing that belief in, like I think that faith, um a lot of people use them interchangeably, but they are very different. And I think that is uh, faith is like you're embracing the possibility, like you're embracing. Faith is like you're seeing the long picture. It's like you're looking into the future and you're putting faith in something because you have an understanding of like the whole cosmic play of things, and you kind of align your beliefs with principles, and that's how it's and aligning your faith instead of belief, aligning your faith with things that are based in understanding. It's more of a courageous thing rather than just belief, where you're just accepting it, and it's almost like you think you're accepting it as true, but you're actually denying truth, and you're denying um, uh, the responsibility to actually look into something and to know it, because it takes courage to know, and it takes courage to accept reality and still have faith to move forward, instead of just throwing your hands up and saying I believe, and that takes no courage and no understanding and no knowledge. And yeah, I think that's kind of, belief has been one of those things for me, that it's like believe it's like you can know something so much until you're looking in the very long, like I can believe that the sun will come up tomorrow, but it hasn't happened yet. I believe that I'm going to wake up tomorrow, but it hasn't happened yet. So it's like the belief is where you start to embody the thoughts. It's like that's when you get your emotions activated, and I think that's where belief can be very deceptive, because when you rely on that emotional feel good instead of the courage of you know being able to look beyond and question. And yeah, I think that's a big thing to note between belief, because I always try to think of faith. That's been a big thing in my life, trying to navigate knowledge and belief, and where belief is necessary, and where where why it is beneficial to us. Because if we didn't believe in things, we wouldn't act on anything. If we didn't believe that some A plus B equals C, we wouldn't do it. So it's like an embodiment of accepting something as true. If it's a belief, it's not necessarily a bad thing unless it's not true, or not in coordinate, in balance with what reality is, and what is going on. So yeah, I'll kind of leave it
Right.
right there.
Thanks, Aaron. And you're right. One of the dictionary definitions online does say trust is basically,
Yeah, trust.
synonym,
Okay.
and you mentioned that too. So let's go to Lawrence next.
Yeah, belief is kind of tricky to define. Like you said, there's many different definitions of it. But to me, um, personally, I've always had a problem with belief. I've always had a problem with the word, with what belief implies, with people who believe, just everything that belief is. I've seemed to have a real issue with, even prior to my of clarity, if you will. When I first opened my eyes and kind of like saw reality for what it is, I always had a problem with belief. And then after I opened my eyes, I realized that I had a problem with belief because I always felt like I could know something. I always felt like I could know that something actually exists, like God or the universe, or whatever it is, healing, balance, all these things, compassion, love. And so to me, belief is it's empty, it's devoid, it's it has no substance, it has no understanding, it's blind. It's not real. It's this comfort food. It's this comfort, this blanket. It's something that people escape into, to escape from reality, to escape from the fact, the truth. I think it can be useful to some people, especially people that are in that loop, that cycle of believing. If they grew up in the church or whatever it is, it can be useful to an extent, but it has to be ultimately dissolved in understanding, knowing, in gnosis. Belief is gone once you live in the moment and you align yourself with truth. So, and to me personally, belief's got to go immediately. But I'm not going to be so direct or so blunt when it comes to some people, because I understand that belief has been a big stepping stone in people's journey. Just believing, for instance, that truth exists, and that that they can reach a certain point in consciousness, just believing, because they're so embedded in darkness and they're so enshrouded in bitterness and rage or whatever it is, and they need to transcend that and work on that. So if belief can pull them through real, I can see it. Basically what I'm saying is I can see that being a reality. But for me personally, belief, there's no place for belief in reality, because we can know what's going on. We can understand what truth is by aligning ourselves with it, and seeing it and living in the moment, feeling it, ultimately feeling it and sensing it. And lastly, when Aaron brought up faith, I think faith is absolutely completely different from belief. Faith is more of a, I guess, like trust. It's like a fully trust and confidence that something, like in something. So I can have faith in natural law that it's going to work. Like I can have faith that it's always going to work exactly how it's going to work. But I don't tend to use the word faith personally. I just know that it's going to work because I understand it and I live in alignment with it. But where faith and belief differ is, belief is blind. Belief requires no understanding. Faith sort of requires, I feel, understanding to at least an extent, to build that trust, to build that. Again, faith, like Aaron brought this example I can have faith that I'm going to wake up in the morning, right? I can have faith that I'm that I'm going to achieve whatever it is I'm setting out to achieve, whatever it is. But if I just believe blindly that I'm just going to accomplish all these things, and that God's going to save me, and that I'm just going to magically poof into a balanced reality without taking any action or doing any quote unquote work on myself, I'm fooling myself. I'm kidding myself. I'm lying to myself. I'm deceiving myself. So that's all I really have for that.
All right. Thanks, Lawrence. Yeah, I was telling Aaron on dictionary.com for the third definition, it puts confidence, faith, and trust as all basically synonymous. So, there definitely is that point of view
Yeah.
out there. Let's go to Dom next.
Sure. It's funny that you say that there's many different definition of one word when there should be only one. But I can totally see how the dictionary wants you to believe something about the definition of belief, which is probably not true. And for me, a belief is anything that is not knowledge based in truth. So either from perception or from something that you can hear, you can read, but you have not experienced it, or you're not 100% sure that it's the truth. So then it's gonna fall into a belief system. Um, Something so that it's based on false notion. For example, the belief in authority. That authority is not something that exists in nature. It's not natural. Uh, it's not real. Actually, it's something totally fake. But so many people believe in authority, believe that it exists, believe that it's true. So that's pretty much it. And truth is that which is. So everything else that is not, every knowledge that is not based on truth, that which is a belief system or a belief. Uh, and 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 yeah, so you gotta look for the truth and get rid of all beliefs uh, by looking for the information, by looking at this knowledge, by going down the rabbit hole, by doing all this shadow work and finding the truth and aligning yourself with the truth. So I'm all good answers from Aaron and Lawrence. I'm also again all forms of belief, and I'm all for the hard work, the hard way, going up the mountain and finding the truth on whatever subject. You gotta find the instead of going the shortcut of someone else telling you, or the Bible saying you something, or whatever shortcut you're gonna take, it's gonna probably lead you to a belief system, not to the truth. So that's the path you have to choose. And if you want to stay on that path to truth, then you have to get rid of all these belief systems. Pretty much what I have to say.
Excellent. Thanks, Dom. Keep it simple. I like it. All right, Corey, you're up.
Yeah, great responses, everybody. Make sure I wasn't muted that time. But seriously, I do like the fact that Aaron mentioned faith, because that is something that, I mean, I'm surprised to see that's actually one of the definitions of belief. It's so funny. We're trying to find what to know about belief. And I feel like what I heard so common through your language, all three of you, is the word knowledge, which, I always say often we learn from the ironies within nature. So we have belief on one hand, we have knowledge on the other hand. Perhaps most people are believing because they have this unknown knowledge. So because they don't know what will happen to them, they're going to have some sort of sense and belief. And if they have the knowledge, then it could turn into faith. So that's a way maybe we can put into that. And I'll give an example. So let's say like there's a cliff, right? And if I think I'm going to survive, I believe I can survive by jumping off the cliff. However, we know natural law is cause and effect. There's always something that's going to happen. And therefore, we must just have the knowledge of what is going to happen, what is going to be the effect to the cause. If we don't have that knowledge, then yes, we're likely going to fall toward belief, because why else are we doing it? Usually our mind starts all our actions. It's the principle of mentalism. It's the cause to the effect. And so what we believe and what we know is what we're going to manifest into the world, which is why belief can be sometimes a hindrance to our progression unless it's in the form of faith based on knowledge. So, your beliefs can be based on knowledge, and maybe it doesn't have all the holistic knowledge, hence it's still belief, because you don't know if it's 100% correct. So there's different variables and degrees, which is why I'm sure all these dictionaries are like completely unsure and maybe going based on belief themselves or whatever, a belief conspiracy, right? But knowledge within itself is sometimes hard to grasp when it comes to definition when we're dealing with all these ironies. But knowledge is where we want to seek as human beings if we want to know the consequences to our actions. If we want to make a better world, we all desire a better world, we want to understand the consequences to our actions. So that's why all of us perhaps study natural law. It's so that way we don't fall to those beliefs that perhaps we have in the past. Maybe we had bad experiences with religions or whatnot. We put too much faith into those things, but not enough knowledge behind our decisions within those chambers we put ourselves under. So you have to question, where do you draw the line? When do you start to believe? When do you start to know? Are your actions based on belief? Are your actions based on knowledge? Am I going to say, well, I know the consequences if I jump off a cliff, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to prevent the harm from being manifested. That's often what we're doing with teaching natural law. The whole point of why it's so powerful for people to know is that way we can reduce the harm done by our actions into the world.
Right on. Thanks, Corey. Excellent. Sean, you're up next.
Well, I'd like to say that belief is a passive acceptance. It is a receptive passivity, like a docile action, whereas knowing is a experience where it's a memory. It happened. You can have scars. I think that's like belief is a passive acceptance of whatever it may be, whether it's truth or lie, that's unquestioned. That's another part of it. When someone believes, they choose not to question, and that's one of the big parts of it. With faith, it's like it's unquestionable. There's like a dedication and and a love, applied to it. Whereas belief is just careless acceptance. I don't know. And I think that also another important thing is belief is stronger than knowing because it doesn't require a working brain. Like, in order to know something, you have to be able to comprehend. You have to be able to understand logic, but with belief, you can just accept it, and there's no work involved. So, I don't know.
Chris, you're muted.
I knew I was going to forget that. Thanks.
It's okay. You're pulling me right now.
That's a good point you made, though, Sean. I like that distinction. I hadn't thought of it quite like that. Yeah, belief is easier in a way.
Very much. And it's like if people say, oh, the truth doesn't, you don't need to stick up for the truth, but when you got a bunch of believers, you need to fight them because they choose not to use logic and they don't need a brain that works. So it's easier for them on their side. We have to do all this work to fight their just passive sheepness.
Yeah, that's great. All right, let's pass the mic to Chill Will.
Yeah, man, good points. Good points, guys. Yeah, belief is I wouldn't say it's stronger. It's definitely easier and there's less responsibility, like you guys were saying, right? You don't you're just what a belief is, it's a dogmatic thought form. It's an unchecked thought form. It's hollow. Most and this is why beliefs can be dangerous because all of our expression and our behavior comes from our thoughts, right? So if you have a belief system, you're going to act on that belief system because it's what you know, what you think you know, right? So it can dictate behavior, and this is obvious. Just look at the situation that the humanity's in now, and it's based on dogmatic false axioms. A false axiom is a statement or proposition that is to be self-evident, right? You think it's true, but with belief there's no evidence behind belief, because if it was based on factual evidence, it would be an understanding or a knowing. So I like how you guys brought up faith as well. I see faith as more of a trusting, right? I have faith in that I'll wake up tomorrow morning. And it's definitely a big difference between faith and belief. But the majority of people just kind of mix those two together, and that's a huge problem. That's definitely a huge problem. And I forgot where I was going. So lie is in beliefs, right? To believe something, you're believing a lie, you're taking in a lie. And most of the beliefs nowadays, most knowledge and belief systems that people hold and cling on to are immoral, so that affects their behavior, making their behavior and their expression immoral. And also these beliefs have been given to them. Most people pick up beliefs, either it's generational, it's how they were raised, or they saw it somewhere and it's comfortable for them. It's a security blanket because it's easy to believe, right? You could just you can believe whatever you want. There's no work involved. So it's an easy way out and there's no responsibility to it. So yeah, belief is the enemy of knowing. Definitely.
Yeah, Crow 777.
Got to
Nice.
throw that in there for sure.
What's funny too is there's the sound. Sometimes words have a phonetic meaning too. And if you think, I'm going to be leaving, that's like the easy way out, right? This conversation's getting difficult. I'm going to be leaving now. See you later.
Left-hand path.
It's getting too difficult. I'm going to be leaving.
That's good.
The other thing I think is funny is that, like, okay, in school, I can remember junior high especially, they made such a big deal about the scientific process. How you start with a theory and you test this theory, and if you keep getting the same result over and over and over, then you know something, right? You've discovered something, but you have to test the theory in order to get to know something. So, but somehow in 2020, you don't ever have to get to knowing something. You can just come up with the theory and say it. And if you say it loud enough and put it on every billboard and every website and every radio station in everybody's ear, then all of a sudden it's true. You don't even have to test it. You don't even have to have proof.
There's a quote for that. Yeah. What Will was saying with the word lie and believe, right? If you tell a lie there's a quote, right? It says, if you tell a lie enough, it becomes a truth or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, we'll have to dig
That's
up the
I
actual
think
quote.
that was Stalin
Goebbels.
or Hitler or something.
It was
Right.
Goebbels.
Keep
I think
repeating a lie.
it
Or
was
if you
it
tell a
worked
lie
for
big
Hitler.
enough,
Tell a
yes.
lie
Yeah,
big
Tell a
enough
lie
and say
big
it
enough.
Oh, that
often
was
enough.
yeah. That was in Mein Kampf. That was it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, make the lie big, and then
Yeah.
it's easier for the people
Hey,
because they can. I mean, it's like 9/11. You know what I mean? Like they give you this perception that's bald-faced lie, but you choose to believe it because you don't want to think, oh,
It's
couldn't be
too
that.
too audacious, you know? And
Hmm.
it's like there's a peer pressure that goes along with that. You know, I remember when I was studying up on hypnotism a little bit, part of how that works when you get someone on a stage in front of a bunch of people, there's enough pressure on that person. It's easier for them to go along with whatever it is, dancing around like a chicken. If you tell them to dance around like a chicken, than it would be for them to stand there and say, I'm not doing it, you know? Because
Crazy.
everybody else is expecting it and everybody's looking at you. It's not like you actually got inside their brain and turned the lever. You just put pressure on them and they're doing it because their attention is on what you're telling them to do. And it's
There's
amazing how quickly and easily people believe things. You know, it's just blowing me away.
and
People are
how many
very
people
easily
actually
programmed.
question their belief systems? You know, here's something for the viewers, anybody listening. Do you ever question your belief systems? Like what you actually believe, where they came from and why you believe them? That's like an initiation process to look in the mirror and actually, you know, get your pen and pad out and write the answers down and think about that shit. So those are deep questions. Not that many people will go through that process, and that's the problem.
Right. But I have actually, you know, I really liked hearing all your answers because I've kind of, in my mind, for the last couple of years, especially, belief has been kind of a dirty word. I catch myself a lot of times not trying to use it in sentences.
Mm.
You know, I'm not trying to believe things. I'm trying to know things. But it has occurred to me that it can be used in a positive way. And one of those ways might be kind of like you guys were saying with faith and trust. When someone says, "Hey, I'm going to do this for you," you know, I might say or think, "I believe you. I believe that you will." You know, it's kind of like I don't remember who it was, Corey or Aaron. Someone was saying like, you know, it hasn't happened yet, and you guys, you were both saying that in different ways. That's why, and so you don't really know for sure, but you do expect that you have faith that something's going to happen or that someone that you has always been reliable is going to follow through with what they said. But you can't say, I know he's going to do it. I mean, you can, but you know, belief isn't necessarily a bad thing because it can be the pathway to the truth. It can be the pathway to knowledge. You test a theory. Like you start out by believing something and you believe that maybe it's worthwhile to keep studying a thing until you get to the point where you've done enough studying and you know it. So, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing completely. It's a pathway. It just cannot be a destination, is kind of what I've come up with.
They used to call that a hypothesis, right?
Hypothesis,
That's
right?
what they used to
Yes,
call it, but now they
right.
switch it out with belief.
Yeah.
So
The
Yeah,
belief is dependency on if the actual thing is true or not, right? So if you are believing in something that happens to be true, then yeah, it's not going to be bad. But if you're believing in something that is bad, then that teaches you why you probably shouldn't believe so much. But like I said, there's a holistic picture to the knowledge where it's like we have incomplete levels of knowledge. All of us don't have all the knowledge in the world. So we have some level of belief somewhere in our lives at all times, just like opinions, which a lot of people equate beliefs to. So I mean, I'm just saying, like there's like the dynamic that I was describing is sort of the incompleteness. I feel like I could write a diagram about this, but like circle and boxes and circles, right? Because a circle is holistic and the box is gonna restrict, and just putting them overlapping each other would sort of be how I picture belief and knowledge.
yeah.
and there's definitely some overlap with faith, trust, belief. Those words are very, you know,
Mhm.
closely related. You know, I think there's some subtleties to how they're used, but there's definitely overlap, if nothing, you know, like a Venn diagram where they're,
I
you know,
think it's the amount of care that's invested, like trust is care, and faith is care. Belief is not care, you know.
Ignorance.
Yeah. And
Could
or
be.
just
Yeah.
the lower, the not, it doesn't require the care. You can believe something, but if like if you have faith, then there's like a love there, you know. Um your expectation is, it's like a positive, and it requires some care on your part, you know.
Yeah, beliefs are, they love to attach to emotions, right?
They're powerful.
That's where they're nested, and that can be a big problem for sure.
Like, and I think part of it, like I said, with the incomplete knowledge is trusting in the natural way of life, the what some may call the natural order, to distinct from natural law. Let's say like you have cancer, for example, and you want to believe your body will heal. Well, you're trying to do the best you can while helping your body. You can only know so much, but you are not in control of everything that's happening within all of your environments, within and throughout. You can know and try to apply steps as much as possible, but having the belief that you will get better and that you can get better is actually an incredible step when it comes to healing your body. And essentially then I would have to say healing the world. People must believe that others can heal, that they can recover, that they can free themselves from their shackles, because that's the first step toward any transformation, is having the first acknowledgement, like, wait, it is possible. And they showed it was possible. And by us, talk about this knowledge, perhaps by us practicing what we preach, we are walking the talk and saying, here, it is possible. We've done it. This is what it looks like. This is what it can be. And people also look for that when people look for solutions. They want to know the better world. I want to see it with my own eyes. I want to live it. I want to have a spirit or essence of it. And that's what inspires them and moves them toward that faith, which is the component that comes thereafter belief with the dependency of knowledge.
It's like a little bit more commitment, and I think I like that, Corey, because what you're bringing up is my point, is that is not completely a bad thing. There are good, there is a good connotation to the word belief. Depends how we look at it. So let me define it like this. This was my next question. Limiting beliefs. Let's describe limiting beliefs as these beliefs that imprison and enslave us and keep us from moving forward. So have you, yeah, that box, like you
Square,
said,
yeah.
Corey, right? The square. So the tesseract, like I described in one of my. So I'd be curious if any of you have had in your life, like I know I've gone through a major transition where I realized I was stuck in certain limiting beliefs that I had to, like go through an experience to come to realize, having my eyes kind of opened. I think maybe some of you have always, I heard someone mention they've always suspected belief and never really fall for that trap. So if that's you, I guess then what limiting beliefs do you see people you love and care about trapped in? So I'd be curious what limiting beliefs you've had problem with, or someone close to you. So let's go ahead and go back to Aaron.
Jeez.
Is that you? Is that not a good question?
No,
No, I
it's
think that's a
powerful.
great
Clear.
question. I think that's a great question.
It's
It's
huge.
just, you know, family are like the hardest eggs to crack because they know you. It's like like family that's a big one,
Well, I'd be first curious about you, what limiting
yeah,
beliefs you've
geez,
faced.
limiting beliefs. I mean, probably the biggest one and probably that took me the longest is that trying to see government with rose-colored glasses, that took me a little while, I it's like that was probably one of the more final transitions, years ago. It's like but I think limiting beliefs are only limiting if you're not willing to go back and forth and wrestle with it and face it back and back and forth, like not just being naive and believing something, but like knowing that we all have beliefs, we all run out of knowledge, we all have to put a little bit, a little bit more. There's faith is when you have the knowledge. I think belief is when you actually are missing some stuff, you know, and you have to, it's like, yeah, like belief has put a bad taste in my mouth for a long time, but also I do know that I think there is value, because you think of things like the placebo effect, how people just cure their bodies just because they believe that they had medicine, to believe that they're getting cured, you know, like who could, you know, how how bad is that, you know, if you really think about it, if you can do mantras or visualizations and you believe it and you really take it in, that's like the most powerful thing in the world, you know. It could be the greatest destruction of, you know, the soul and the psyche, is just believing things. And then, you know, just it's just as bad as ignorance, you know. One thing, you're just accepting everything, and then ignorance, you're just denying everything, you don't need to learn it at all, you know. So um limiting beliefs for my the ones that I've had a hard time with is at least for me, a lot of people, or like a lot of the conversations that I get into with family, I'll try to make it quick, I'm not trying to run up the time, but um like being an anarchist to me, and having that, I think that takes a lot of courage and understanding and willingness to have faith, and have, because, you know, I think if anarchy is, you know, the most evolved state of human, um you know, freedom, or consciousness, and if we can eventually make our way to that, you know, anarchical world, society, global society, then the amount of faith that it takes a lot of faith to see through that and know that if that's the way we're going, and that's the most natural way, the natural order, and for humans to evolve the best, then anything we're doing in between that is all, you know, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't serve anything. And so for me, it's the limiting one for me is or I guess beliefs, the hardest beliefs for me to overcome uh are that people don't when I get in the conversations, they think that these are my beliefs, they think that natural law are my beliefs, you know. People, like, you're trying to explain something to someone, and the hardest part for me is to convey understanding, and convey principles that are immutable and timeless. And I think, you know, a huge problem is just um, separation, and thinking that we're all separate, thinking it's like the biggest belief is that you're alone, you know, and it's just you. In reality, we're all the one, it's all just the one thing, the all. And I think I don't know, beliefs, it's like you could never count the amount of beliefs that are actually going on, that are so damaging and toxic, that it's like belief in separateness. If you could just think about that one thing, or mentalism, or understand that, you know, I believe that this table is solid, but, you know, a lot of people believe that a table is solid, but it's, you know, all empty space. And or just um the power of the mind, and mentalism, trying to get people to understand that it's not just you're not separate, we're not alone, nothing goes on that isn't continuous, and nothing can happen that hasn't been happening, you know. And so, yeah, I could go on, I'll chime in, I'm sure,
That's a
but
good one though. Separate, you know. What do you think, Lawrence?
I have a lot of thoughts. Um, well, I really quick before I get into this limiting belief thing, I want to touch on something you said earlier, Chris, about like if you had a friend or a brother or somebody in your life who you trusted to do something, or you believe that they could do something, right? Like, hey, I'll come pick you up tomorrow at 8 a.m. All right, I believe that you will, but I would take it to a place where instead of using the term belief, because I won't use the term belief, I've pretty much extinguished it out of my vocabulary at this point. And this is through years of contemplating and going in and out and just really diving into this word, what it implies, and going beyond it, etc. I would say you are capable of picking me up at 8 a.m., but that doesn't mean you will, right? I don't have to believe that you will or you won't. I believe that you can, sure, but no, I know that you are capable of picking me up at 8 a.m. That's if you want to or not, if you choose to or not. So that you can use that example for anything. People are capable of aligning with natural law. I don't believe that they can. I know that they can if they start applying the principles to their life and start doing the shadow work, start, getting their head out of the sand and everything else. So that's where I'm at with that dynamic specifically. Now, where I'm at is there isn't a belief that is not limiting. Every single belief is limiting. So there isn't a belief that isn't limiting. Belief is if we're gonna talk about a limiting belief, the most limiting belief on the planet is the belief in separation. Period. You believe that you are a separate being, just alone in the world. You're separate from everything around you. You're your body, you're your thoughts, your identities, your job, your labels, everything else. But belief in and of itself is limiting. And what was I going to get into there? The belief is limiting. Oh, come on.
If it pops up.
1 second. Yeah. Let me gather it really quick. Okay, here we go. So
Loading.
the mind, yes, yeah.
In front of Lawrence's head, there was a little deep.
Hey, it's important. That silence is so important. So the mind, and this taps into how the mind operates. The subconscious mind doesn't see belief. It doesn't know what belief is. It registers everything as truth. So you believe in authority. It says, "Oh, authority is real," and it gives you this tyranny, this suppression, this thing called authority, which is an illusion, which is actually suffering, right? If you're under the illusion of authority and you think authority is real, you're suffering, right? You might not be conscious of your suffering. You're probably running away from your suffering, but you're suffering nonetheless. You don't know you're burning in hell. You don't see the flames because you're too busy drinking at your work, busy, distracted, watching football, watching the Super Bowl, whatever it is, right? But nonetheless, you're in hell. So your belief in authority, it's your subconscious mind doesn't see it. Oh, he just believes in it, so it's empty. It's an illusion. It's not real. It's not truth. Well, the subconscious mind says this is what this guy keeps thinking. This is what this guy keeps believing in his whole life. He believes that Jesus is going to come save him, or some God is going to come save him. So let's make that into his experience, and that can't be, there's no reality to that. So therefore, what's manifested is this juicy suffering to get them to realize that illusory nature of their beliefs. You see? So until you start actually aligning yourself with something real, truth, what is the facts, like in the present moment, you're inevitably going to suffer. You're inevitably going to be, rolling that ball up the hill and then coming back down. I forgot what that is. That Sisyphus or something like that, who keeps rolling the ball up the hill? Yeah, that's you. As long as you're stuck in the past or in the future, and you're just blindly believing in something that you've been fed your whole life. So that's where I stand with it. Is that there is no such thing as a belief that's not limiting, and I have faith that an individual, if they apply the principles to their life, if they start just looking at themselves, just watching themselves, that they can transform on multi-dimensional levels. I mean, on all levels. I don't believe that they can. I know that they can because I did, and I you know what I mean? Like, it's not a matter of belief. It's a matter of I know you're capable of this because you're a human being. You're an infinite being having a human experience, and I know your power. I know it. I see it. I feel it. You're just not harnessing it. It's covered up with so much dirt, and that's our job here, right? That's our obligation, is to help people to remove the dirt. It's not like, I'm going to wake you up. I can't do that. I can't wake you up. I mean, what the hell? I'm just going to stress myself out and suffer if I do that. I can't wake you up. I'm just helping you to see the dirt that you covered yourself up with for so many years. And I don't believe that you can remove that dirt. I know you can. I know you can.
Right on. I like that, Lawrence. You're taking the hardcore stance. All beliefs are limiting. What do you think, Don?
Well, I agree, but the question, when you asked the question, you were saying what on your personal experience, and maybe it's because I'm going through a tough breakup right now, but the most limiting belief for me right now is the belief in true love. But not believe in true love, but maybe believe that I found true love with that person, and not just now, but a lot of times in the past I've invested myself in relationships, and I'm pretty sure we all do at some point. And by believing that she was the one or he was the one, and investing a lot of times and into that belief, and then having maybe a hard wake up one day, that your belief was not true. But it all boils down to everything what we said. This belief system was still not a good thing. Something I should have done. Should have keep an eye on the truth, which is maybe she wasn't. And always be careful, not to you have to invest, you have to believe in true love, I guess, but you have to still be careful with that kind of belief. Pretty much what I have to say right now. And maybe I'm just bitter, but that's why what comes in with me right now. That
Hey, that makes it
belief,
real.
that
You know?
limiting beliefs. That's pretty much what I feel right now.
Yeah. Hey, that's what you're going through. That's real. That's what's cool about having different perspectives here, is that we can
Yes,
kind of hear
that's real, man.
where everybody's coming from in their own real life, and that makes it more real for other people who might be listening. So, what do you think, Corey? You gonna bring it back for beliefs? What do you think about limiting beliefs? Have you had any?
Yeah, for sure. There's so many different things you can make observations by the day. I'm pretty sure if you guys are like me, you'll just walk outside and all of a sudden find a billion different things that you see people attach their minds to. Whether it's their phones or any form of whatever, narcissism and ego and all the sorts of different extremes that people take with their beliefs, which is what makes it particularly dangerous. But there's also something when people say um, when they say dreams, right? So when you're awake, right, if you are asleep or if you're quote unquote woke, right, it sort of just gives more emphasis to that of which the mind creates, right? So the mind is going to help us create our reality, as I said previously, with the principle of mentalism. And this just shows how powerful belief can be, to where we're talking about this can shape their whole view of the world. This becomes their view of the world. Everything is seen through this filter that they set upon themselves, for which they own their own eyes. Only they can put that filter on themselves truly. And this is where we get into religion, right? I mean, you talked about belief, now go into faith, and then, well, I have to mention religion. So, there's two different inverse meanings of this word as well, talking about many different definitions. But religion, as many of you guys know, means binding, right? Religare, to binding, to hold, to to conceal back. So not allowing one to have an open mind, going back to the idea of ignorance, and thus making it harder to learn, thus making it harder to understand the knowledge, thus relying more on belief. And then it just turns into this disastrous cycle where we have this dependency on belief. We have a dependency on government to fix all our solutions, a dependency that we create for ourselves based entirely on belief. And so we don't want that because it will restrict us. The other, there's other definitions for religion, which are the exact opposite, which is to bring people together, religio and so forth. But there's, like I said, that's where the inverse nature of reality comes into play. And so, it's either you're asleep or awake, knowledge, belief, blah, blah, blah. Now, something, because I have to sort of resort this back to like the beliefs that I see people have or within my own life and so forth. I mean, I've had many. Like, for example, I'm sure many of us as kids would look at an advertisement perhaps on a cereal box. Like for me, it was Lucky Charms. Oh, it says lucky. It must be lucky, right? So I thought I can just eat that every day and become lucky. I actually even came to the consideration that thinking negative thoughts were going to give me good things. So, there's certain things that if you set your mind to it, anything's possible. And this shows you can be any person you want as long as you set your mind to set the stage. But it doesn't mean it's actually true in reality and will work long term and be the most sustainable and also reduce the holistic amount of harm. So that also, by the way, is like the prefrontal cortex, right? Not being so developed as a kid. So kids tend to believe, and, for good reason, they need the help of parents. They need the help of people who will guide them in the right direction. And I think, going back to the points that Lawrence makes, we shouldn't really tell people what to do. We need to guide people, thus not say, what to do when it comes to this awakening process. It's all about guiding them in the right direction, which does mean not relying so much on belief, but relying on one's own intuition, which I will distinguish from belief. Looking inward and truly find that situation within your own life. I might not know you within your own life and your own environments, but you can figure that out for yourself. You can know. So I believe in you that you can know. So it's a complicated situation. But I guess, again, you can use the word faith for that one.
But isn't it important that we teach kids to believe in Santa Claus?
Jeez.
Well,
if you want them to be statists when they grow up, sure. Sorry.
I couldn't help thinking about that when you were talking about kids and belief. That came into my head.
Right. It depends like I said, the beliefs have a dependency, and all these dependencies matter. So it's not necessarily a bad belief. It depends on what is actually going to create in the world. So if that belief is going to cause our actions to create something that's bad, then yes, I'm going to care about that belief. But if that belief is rather harmless, then it's not so bad. But if it's still a lie, then obviously, it has levels to which it is bad. It's the manifestation. It's positive and negative natural law expression. So within my family, there were many things, I'm sure, like even, I guess, eating, forms of different eating, nutrition. People think, oh, veganism is the only solution. Oh, this is the only solution. They're just stuck in these religions of their own, believing this is the truth, but they have no knowledge of nutrition themselves, no knowledge of what actually goes on at the farm. They've never involved themselves with actual machinery and see how many animals die through any sort of agricultural gains. This is where it comes down to. People will, like Lawrence said, belief itself is the hardest thing to to get rid of, because you will believe that you are true. This is why people believe so much in certain things. It's like, I'm correct, nobody else is correct. I'm the one that's right. And again, that goes back to the idea of ego, which I know Lawrence also mentioned as a topic that we can get into another episode. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, that's just one situation. other things, I don't know, it could be all sorts of things. It could be you watching television, believing in a certain host as being the true source of information. It could be you believing there's chemtrails in the sky, but you don't know if it's happening, but you do know it's there. So it's like, is that a belief or is it knowledge? No, there's some level of knowledge in it, but it's not fully holistically known. So thus, you cannot conclude your actions based on incomplete knowledge, which a lot of people do with their religions.
All right, let's go to Sean next. Thanks, Corey. A lot of good insights there.
I had a rigorous, well, my biggest limiting belief that I had growing up was my intense belief in atheism, to the point where I didn't believe that love was real. I mean, I thought that love was just a bunch of chemical reactions in the brain. I was so lost. That was very limiting in my life. And, I got better, I guess. But, that's it. And for my family, they believe that the TV is the source of the truth. And I mean, I can be in the other room doing my own thing and I hear the TV do something and I'll laugh to myself. And my stepdad yells in from the other room, "We don't need your comments." I mean, so like that's, that whole world, everything is built on the newspaper and the TV. And they're lost. It's nothing I can do. Logic doesn't help. And my own, like I'm at the point where I just yell. I just, like
You
they
can.
can't, like,
You can. Yeah, well, I'm saying, like, for you, like, right, like I said, when it comes to the healing process, you need to first believe that you can heal yourself. Well,
Right.
I'm telling you, you can help your family one way or another. It will happen.
I hope so.
You
I
have
don't
to
know
believe.
how much personal I want to get, but I mean, my mother believes in the medical system and her life is in risk now. And she has given them free reign to chemo and all that stuff. And she tried Rick Simpson oil because I hounded her. I told her that if she died and didn't try it, that I would be so mad, and she tried it, but it scared her because it was too intense, too high. And scared her, and fear sent her back to chemo. It's what do I do, man? I mean, I'm not asking you guys, you don't know, but I mean, it's like something that, and the fact that they see me as flawed because I understand the truth that authority is an illusion, and that all of this is mind control, that money is slavery. They think I'm crazy, and so I have to accept that they choose to believe, and I have to let them go. And it's tough for me right now. I don't know.
Don't give up.
Yeah, I get that, man.
I mean,
You
I'm
are
sorry,
not
I
their
just have to say
savior,
it.
right? Yeah. Go on.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, just don't give up. I mean, you might feel like it. I mean, but there's a lot of people who I know, like, especially within the so-called truth communities and so forth, but they have to deal with that sort of thing. Just even asking a question, right? Like maybe they'll start attacking you just for asking a question or just for making a small comment.
Yeah,
and
that's a defense mechanism that people have often used, and I've noticed it. And they'll to avoid the situation or avoid the subject matter, they'll usually lash out and attack. That's a way
Right.
of shutting it down. And that's basically people's way of saying they're afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid of the truth. And
And that's why in
it's
civilized
difficult.
conversation, nobody brings up politics or religion, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's afraid and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's,
And they don't really have, in many cases, the tools to have those conversations because they haven't
Right.
thought enough about it. And that's
Right.
scary. It's it's like the unknown. So
Mm.
let's jump to Will. What do you have to say, Will, on the limiting beliefs thing there, and
Yeah.
what you mainly experience?
I'll do a little caveat too. So I agree with Lawrence. I take a hard stand on belief. I don't think there is no positive connotation for belief. People get that mixed with like the placebo effect. What that is law. That's mentalism. You know what I mean? People are calling it belief when it's actually a law in nature, and it's our mind.
Well, if
and
you
how
could
it
defend,
operates.
I mean, you'd have to define belief then first, right? So
Yeah.
if we're going to say it's fully negative, we'd have to then define it and then make sure it's definite, hence definition. Otherwise, we can't be definite to say, yeah, it's fully negative. There's probably a positive connotation to it, to which is a perspective and not necessarily all in the evidence, unless we have the evidence, which is through the definition.
Yeah, well, the definition of belief would be it's a false axiom. It's a belief system. It's something you believe in. You take on that it's self-evident. So you believe that it's true. It's almost the opposite of truth. It is deception. So these are limiters of consciousness because there's no knowledge or understanding in belief. So that's a pretty good definition.
But
Beliefs
can you know
work.
everything?
What's that?
But you can't know everything, right?
No,
there is always some level of belief. That was sort of like the point where I come in for the positive connotation.
Yeah, and this is my opinion. I don't see, if I don't know something, I just say I don't know. Like I don't say I believe in it. So I don't have beliefs, I have experiences, and I dictate reality on my experiences and my curiosity to learn and to apply the trivia method to gain knowledge and do the true scientific method and come to an understanding. Then I can apply it to my behavior and my action. So beliefs, they work really good through the unconscious. It's the unconscious feedback loop. A lot of people don't even know they're holding beliefs. For instance, the belief in big pharma, the belief in authority, the belief in government, the belief in a ruler, the belief in the education system. They just go about it. That's the unconscious feedback loop. It's automatic to them. So and I experienced that. So my thing was I didn't recognize my belief systems. So I just believed what I believed was good. And everyone has their own beliefs, and that's okay. That's solipsism for sure. So and I see that within family and friends, and and everybody's like, even with the whole COVID shit, it's just what you believe, what you want to believe. Yeah. It's like no, you don't have the right to believe in government. See, and people, and that's a hard topic for people to understand, because they don't have the right to believe in government because they're condoning slavery. So it's their ignorance that's actually initiating harm onto other people. That belief is dangerous. And I can go on a whole bunch of other list of them. So yeah, I'll end it on that.
I think that's a good point too, that however you want to look at it, maybe there is we're seeing a little bit of subtle differences in perspective on just
only with faith. That's where it becomes different, is with the faith added into the definition. Otherwise, I agree 100% with Will.
I wouldn't put faith within belief. Faith to me is trust.
So then there we go. There's our distinction.
Well, and that's kind of the point I was going to get to, is that because words have been so manipulated in our culture, with the way we've been grown.
Totally.
And the manipulators of this world understand words very well and have been used them very crafty ways to manipulate us. From the time we're born, we've been manipulated. Like I was saying, Santa Claus, it's a good example.
Yeah.
Where we're taught how that word is used, and it's extremely dangerous. I think we can all agree on that.
Especially since all of the adults, they all work in unison to make you believe it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They don't need to be
Collude.
prompted. They
They
just
collude against you.
assume. Yes, they collude against you. The
In
higher
the same
level
way that
of
it happens.
knowledge
Yeah.
is occulting knowledge from you and making you change your actions. He knows what you're doing when you're sleeping. You know, like
Right.
makes you change your
Creepy.
actions in order to please some imaginary character. Like it's like
It's
scoring
like
the
training
brain.
wheels for government.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
it's
within
saying that
itself-
exactly.
of
It's
humanity right
training
there.
the mind for statism
Yep.
Yeah,
and
well,
for
because of
belief in
subjective,
authority.
because of a subjective reality where there is no objective morality and everything is just whatever you make it to be, hence science and atheism and all the left brain ideologies. So yeah, I mean, we need that deterministic component, but I would defend that Santa Claus thing just for a second though, because I'm sorry, I have to take the
Devil's
opposite side
advocate.
sometimes.
Let's hear it.
Well, once in a while, I really do, just to give more perspective. Like I said, there's an irony in all things dependent on perspective. It within itself is not bad, but it does feed the subjective echo chambers. So that's where I draw the line. It within itself, yeah, why should any holiday be mandated or enforced upon people? Well, it's just a tradition for the most part, celebrating a lot about, the North Pole and the mythological traditions there. If you want to say it's got some satanic whatever, I mean, who actually even knows, right? We can't know.
Well-
That's why it's so much based in belief. And so I can understand where you're coming with that. But is it actually harmful within itself? Well, like I said, it's more over the underlying subjectivity that makes it, I think, harmful, is because kids can then think, well, if this is, they find out it's a lie or whatever, they've been lied to their whole life or whatever. There's so many different conditions with it. If you want, I could explain each.
That is important, because when you as a kid learn that Santa Claus is fake and you see all the others and they still believe, it makes you a separate like you're a different species
An
all of a sudden.
outcast or something, right?
Right. That's like us, being awake to government. It's the same. Everybody's wearing a mask. They all believe,
Yeah, well, it's for
And it's
kids.
the
It's a
difference.
tradition.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
Right,
the same.
but kids are
Trickery, and
learning
it's
how to
dishonest.
do adult things. That's what it's doing. It's training the kid to be a believer, and I mean, I'm sorry, but it's wrong. Like the Satanism factor, the fact that it's controlling the kid with lies, that's satanic enough, and the fact that
Here's
they're
the
all
difference.
colluding. I mean, ugh.
Here's the
But,
difference. Telling telling the story of Santa Claus currently in our modern time is a form of mind control, because
Right.
they're not teaching the kids that it's actually a mythological story based in tradition. They're
Yeah.
Presenting it as
they're
truth.
not they're presenting
Right.
it as
That's
truth.
what I'm talking about.
That's
Yeah.
when it becomes mind control, which
Right.
ultimately is a violation, for sure.
And we believe our parents. We love them. We trust them. We have
But see,
faith.
it's that within itself. It's not, because I can name a whole bunch of symptoms to the cause, but the cause is the lack of objectivity in nature, which does exist.
But I'm just saying that if a child is craving truth and understanding, and then you feed it lies, how could that possibly be a good thing?
Yeah, and then when they're 7 or 8,
Well-
you laugh. Oh, it's just a
You
white
fell for our
lie.
trick.
You've been
Sure.
lied for 7 or 8
Doesn't have to
years,
be that
and
way.
it's cute. It's cute.
Well,
Yeah,
like I
I've
said,
paid taxes
I'm-
for 20 years. It's cute. It's cute.
I'm
well, like
I'm
Will
kind
said,
of with
though,
Corey, because
yeah.
I'm with both of you guys. I mean, it's one of those things. I think that belief is probably, and I don't take a hard stance. I think it's totally 50-50, and it can be just as productive to have beliefs, like someone telling you when you're a little kid, you can do anything you set your mind to. You know,
But
they're gonna
but that's
believe that.
almost a fact,
In
though.
in
That doesn't have to be a belief because you
well,
can
I
and
don't.
will.
Could be proven.
Well, I mean, I
You're
think the
talking
belief
another level of
is
people
when
here.
uh, no, I understand it. I understand what it is, but I think that if you don't believe that let's say I believe that if I, you know, stick to the work I'm doing, and that if I try to um create content in the best way I can, I believe that it might help some people, but I don't know. And so I think that belief is meant to bridge the gap for the spirit, and it can be responsibly done based like philosophy.
Yes.
Philosophy is the you're trying to equate things that you really are abstract, and you can't just say certain things. So we use philosophy and
Right.
study the principles to find out where that belief and knowledge can meet. You know, I don't think
Yes.
that it is either way. I think that belief, because it's like if we believe. I think the belief is actually really crucial. I don't think that it's something that can just be written off, because if I didn't believe that I was worth anything, I would probably stay in bed all day. But like I might not be worth anything. I really don't know. Like I don't think that you like I think it takes courage to um it takes courage to know, and it takes almost nothing to believe. But some of the most effective people that have made a difference in the world, they didn't know what they were going to do. They just believed. They believed in themselves. They believed that they that they could do something. You know, I think it's that belief that's why we teach kids to believe certain things. And I think it doesn't have to be all
Yeah.
lying. I think you can
Yes.
teach things without making them naive little, religious
Yeah.
freaks.
Could I add to that?
Go ahead.
Because
Yeah.
like you don't, it's not like you just say, oh, to the kid, like when they're 8 years old, whatever you said, like, oh, well, it's all a lie. It doesn't have to be like that. Perhaps like it because it was a tradition, just like any religion or any religious book, by the way. I mean, any holiday or whatever, or any religious book. There's a lot of parables, a lot of things that aren't meant to be taken literally, stuff that is meant to be taken mythologically for deeper meaning. So actually the subjective can help us understand more of the objective, depending on how you look at it. Like I said, there's too many dependencies that have to address each one. But going back to the statement that Will made with the mythological traditions, I don't have to tell my child, oh, Santa Claus doesn't exist. I can go through the history with them about where Santa came from, due to Saint Nicholas and all this other stuff, and then how they celebrated it in different countries and what that actually means to us, like the North Pole and the beings there and how we were great beings. And I can go through all of that, and that gives them a level of significance to their own life, which they don't have to necessarily believe in, because now they're having knowledge of what others of the past had knowledge of or believed in. So
That's
it's
the difference with belief, that knowledge. Like you don't have to believe in yourself. You know you can achieve something by applying your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. When you apply your actions, right, your attention and your time, then you're going to practice and you're going to get better, and good things will happen. That
What
by
if you
law,
right.
what
it'll
if you
happen. You
don't
don't have to
know that you
believe.
can complete them?
You know
Well, then
what? I think this is a good
I think
place.
that would be in a different realm. That would be
The-
almost a, kind of an issue with, you'd have to like look at yourself because
It's more faith, I think.
action there.
It's more about faith.
I think it's an interesting thing to bring in too. Is something we talked about in a past roundtable, is the idea of imagination. And to me, that's kind of the way I bridge that gap that we're sort of seeing is
Yes.
You
rather
got to
than
know the
saying,
faculties. You got to know
I
how they
could
work.
say, I believe, like my goal is to be part of the end of evil. I've been inspired by the book, Jeremy Locke's book, The End of All Evil. And when you say that, people are like, that's not even possible. There's always going to be evil. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how do you know that? If you can't imagine extinguishing evil, then what kind of world do we have that you can't even imagine, getting rid of the evil in yourself? And so imagination is kind of like belief in that, I imagine it's possible to work towards a better world. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time here. If
And we
I
can
don't
still
imagine
celebrate Santa Claus. That's
and
what I'm
believe
saying.
it's
It's not a big
possible.
deal.
Well, to me, there's a, that's a slippery slope of lying, and I think
Right.
it depends how
Yeah.
you're presenting things. And I think
Yes.
that's what you're saying. If you're presenting a story and explaining that it's a story I'm presenting and it's
Right.
for this and this, that's not
Right.
lying.
What
But
Corey
when you're
just
lying
said
to
Is
people,
is
probably
not
how it was
saying
passed.
that's not truth.
But you got to look at most of humanity. Most of humanity are blindly believing in this story of Santa Claus and you're just fucking feeding it to their children. That's not right. People are just
Yeah.
blindly believing and celebrating these holidays and all these things. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. They're just blindly doing it because it's a excuse to be around a bunch of people they hate. Anyways, I mean, just to be really seriously blunt, dude. I mean, really blunt. It's all twisted. It's all inverted, and I can see both sides, but ultimately, it's way more wrong. And if there's any right in it, I don't really see it at all.
Well, what are you going to do? Like mandate the whole world? Oh, there can't be. I mean, you can only teach, right? And so teach the knowledge that we have and get to the root cause, which is not like talking about Santa. The root cause is the objectivity of the morality in nature and why we should not obey these people who don't have any right to exist on nature. People are going to celebrate their stuff whether we like it or not. The traditions are always going to be passed. New traditions are going to be created. In fact, there will be more diverse traditions and more cultures created when we free the world from all these shackles, because creativity will come out of everywhere. Imagination will spark, like Chris said. It will be incredible to see, but we'll have the understanding of our rights and the law, so thus we won't go out of our boundaries per se. We won't go to extents that are extremely harmful, like democide and all this other junk that comes with the manifested evil of chaos.
Well, I think we could keep going on this all night, but I do want to start to work towards bringing this to a close because about the time we're working with here. So I'm going to finish up by reading a little quote that I think kind of ties things together a little bit from the book I was describing, The End of All Evil. And he's talking about faith. And since we're talking about belief and faith being pretty tied together, I'm going to read this little paragraph and then we'll close it up there. And if we want to continue this conversation, we'll keep going in 2 weeks. And this is what Jeremy Locke wrote about faith. Faith is the courage to test ideas for truth. With faith, people discover whether ideas are true or false. With faith, people learn principles. People use faith to take steps in testing principles. We often fail, but we always learn. Imagine walking over a rocky surface. Perhaps you expect that the surface is solid and will not shift. If you expected firm ground but found movement, you may stumble. When the ideas you are testing are wrong, your test will fail. Your intelligence helps you to adjust your thinking to better understand the principles of walking. You learn to control your balance in spite of the difficult terrain. You use faith to test your new understanding and soon can traverse successfully and quickly. You are mastering principles. So, to me, that's kind of like what we're all discussing, and we're all trying to get closer to understanding those principles by testing out these ideas and bouncing them off each other. And I think it's an incredible experience, and I'm honored to have gotten to know each of you who have come tonight, and I appreciate your points of view. And let's do it again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sounds
And
good. It's a
I
pleasure,
also want to make it
gentlemen.
clear, I agree with like all you guys, and I think it's good that I just like to open perspective. That's all I like to do. I don't like to restrict our minds into certain set mindsets, for that is what government does, is pushing opinions on certain people and pushing their ideas on others, and just not about that. But yeah, I think we could all agree about natural law principles at the end of the day, and I think that's really what matters anyways, like we said in our previous episode. So I thank you all and appreciate it.
Right on.
Thanks, brothers. Right
Thank
on.
you.
Of course.
Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Another good one
Excellent.
in the books.
All right, you guys
Yep.
have a good night, and we'll
Cheer.
stop that there.
And evil.life.
Yeah, yeah. Check out everybody's websites. You know what? I need to do a better job this time of putting all the links below the video when I share it. So that's why I had everybody say it in the beginning, so I can
Throw the links in the Discord. It'll make it easier to grab.
Oh yeah, if you guys can do that, that'd be great. Just put your link in the Discord channel.
Sure.
All right,
Right
guys.
on. All right. Let's try
Thanks,
to do it
fellas.
again.
Everybody.
This was
2
great.
weeks from
Have
today.
a good night.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming. All right, guys. Have a good
All right.
night.
Later.
Wait.